Alright, like, click, subscribe, do all that. You already know what time it is. It's Netflix time. This movie's called The Coven Sisters. In Basque Country, 1609, to postpone the execution, a group of women accused of witchcraft lured the inquisitor into witnessing the witch's Sabbath. So it's a Spanish period piece that just came out recently. It's about an hour, 30 minutes long. Spoiler alert, let's get started. So right off the bat, you got women getting burnt at the stake. Apparently that week alone, they burnt about 77 women accused of witchcraft. Then the next day, they come into the town, where the king is ready to conduct some business. And we got this guy willing to be of service. So then we cut to these ladies just minding their business, weaving, stuff. Then these guards come in and kidnap them. Apparently they believe them to know some type of witchcraft. And when the guards capture these witches, they always tell them to cover their eyes. I guess they believe that, they cast their spells. I'm over here getting tongue-tied. What the fuck is wrong with me? Well, anyway, they got them all sitting in their cell, and they start interrogating each of them one by one to try to get answers. The little one says he only told her a bit of information, but not much. Then they take Isabella prisoner. She's giving him a lot of story and all that, but is it legit, or is it all bullshit? I mean, she talks a little bit about the Black Sabbath, but without any proof, it's like, how do they know she's not lying? So once she's back in her cell, she makes a plan with her girls to, distract them. She says just keep telling them bullshit until the 5th moon comes up, which is in 1 week's time. Because if they figure if they're witches, then they're going to burn them alive anyway, so it's like, they might as well keep them distracted until the time being. Meanwhile, this chick from the village escapes to warn them that they're picking up all the ladies in the village and burning them at the stake, going by the assumption that they're all witches. And then she gets caught by a guard, and she's in there with the rest of them. But the way she's carrying on, she says it's probably safer for her to be in there, honestly, with the way they're burning people on the outside. Now, they've had visions about sailors coming back once the tide rolls around. Now, I'm thinking to myself, if they are indeed witches, why the fuck do they need the sailors? I apologize if I don't understand modern mythology, but I'm more of a common sense guy, you feel me? Back in the kitchen, the king and them are feasting on the meal, and they're like, it tastes like shit. They ain't got no respect for the cooking. Well, anyway, the king started giving more stories on this dance called the Black Sabbath dance, and somehow ended up killing 359 people. Like, even he doesn't believe the methods of how it happened, but point blank, he knows that 359 people died because of some witches. So again, do witches exist? Did they create all this chaos, or is it all just a bunch of bullshit? So after a crazy line of questioning for about a week, the guards start losing their patience, and they start torturing them to get information. I can't even describe in words what they did to one of them. Just know that she came back bloody and all of her hair cut off. And apparently that's what they were going to continue to keep doing until our girl A gave up something. So she finally starts telling them the background about their witches and Sabbaths and all this other stuff. Now the story seemed convincing, but once again, is it all legit or is it bullshit? Now they did give you a couple flashbacks watching as the viewer to make it feel like her story is legit. But as we heard from the king multiple times, witch's greatest asset is their lies and their beauty. So even though it sounds good, I'm still not convinced of the whole truth because the whole point is they're supposed to be given a distraction until the full moon comes. But then she starts singing these cantations and I'm like, oh shit. And I feel like for a split second he was starting to get hypnotized by him. And I don't know how to really explain it, I'm just gonna say it. She was talking about this devil giving her the business. Pleasuring herself and all that shit. The king getting mesmerized by her. And then the guard puts a bag over her head talking about, Your Honor, you're being hypnotized. He's like, take that off and let her finish. But she can't even continue at that point. She's just stone-faced. So then after all that, they make her sign a petition confessing that she's a witch. And then they put her back in the dungeon. But she thinks she's gotten to the king to buy a little bit more time. But little does she know. Well, anyway, the sketch artist is drawing on her the next day to see if she has any other marks on her. And the king goes to see her face to face again. Thinking to yourself, does she really have him under her control? Now she's happy because they were able to retrieve this gold dress that she used to have. She talked about it in her confession, and I'm not even exactly sure what it represents, but Well, anyway, they're still going to continue on with the plan of stalling. Meanwhile, the king wakes up out of his dream, and he goes on a stalking mission to check on the ladies, and he's just watching them sleep. Well, almost all of them were asleep. The younger one was wide awake looking dead at him doing incantations. And then he dipped the fuck out. Alright, so the next day they got all this stuff lined up on the table. Basically, the king and the guards are trying to reenact her story, just to see if he overlooked anything. And coming from all this, he figured out they came to the conclusion that the witches were stalling for time. So he pushed the execution date a day earlier. They told him the announcement was tomorrow at dawn, but that unbeknownst to them, they're gonna do that shit at night. So nighttime falls, they got them in chains, they're pretty much expecting death. But to their surprise, the king actually wants them to dance. See, he's curious, he wants to see this shit for himself. So at this point, with little hesitation, the littlest witch of them all starts contorting her body. Yeah, it's fucking weird. And then they conduct their celebratory Sabbath dance. After the king takes a bite of a black mushroom, of course. Cause you always gotta eat something when you start up a ceremony. It's like Adam and Eve with fruit, Snow White with apples. You get the gist of what I'm saying. As they're doing their cantations and dancing in a circle and, just going crazy, unknowingly to the king, he had other witches working for him right under his noses. He gets trapped in a vortex, and they all just circle around him. Then one of them attacks the guard as they try to get close. As they're trying to get the guard free and they try to release the king from the spell, the witches somehow run away from the rest of the group. But then they get surrounded on a cliff. More incantations being made. They talked about flying, and we turn around for 1 second, and then they're just completely gone. Where the fuck did they go? They didn't fall off the cliff, they just vanished. What in all of the fuck? The only thing we really know about these witches is they would disappear in front of their eyes. They never made it seem like they had the power of hypnosis. I mean, the only person that was getting distracted by it was the king, so... And they never even killed anybody the whole movie. Matter of fact, they were imprisoned the entire time. The only people that were being killed in the movie were the quote-unquote witches or ladies that were being burnt at the stake. So once again, was it legit or all bullshit? Coven Sisters on Netflix. Check it out. Like, click, subscribe, do all that. You already know what time it is. Sleep easy, all easy, mister. Ow, big. Could have got that slogan.